this new edition under the circumstances that we are all living in. So well done for that, CINANIMA, okay? So also during 44 years, CINANIMA has promoting animation and its authors and allowing students, teachers, professionals, and curious people to learn more and more about the magic of this new form of cinema. And he's been doing that through their sessions at the festivals, through their workshops, and through these master classes. And here we are today, carrying out this new masterclass in a partnership with CINANIMA, like Christina said, and ESAD, the College of Art and Design at Matosinhos. So today's event is especially oriented to our BA students of Digital Arts and Multimedia, the ones of the Advanced Studies in Illustration, Digital Animation, and of course for all the school community that are now watching us from home and from ESAD. But let's focus on what is really important today. And we are all together here to have a masterclass or to hear a masterclass from the young and talented French director, screenwriter, and producer, Louise Mercadier. Louise is a self-taught animated film director that has a degree on social sciences and has been directing stop motion films since 2015. Last year, Louise completed her first professional short film called Sororel, which was presented also last year at the official competition at CINANIMA, and which I had the opportunity to watch and be mesmerized. It is a beautiful film, really. So Louise, it's really a pleasure to have you here with us. And we are all looking forward to hear you talking about Caos, Metamorphosis, and animation. So Louise, please.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's my first masterclass ever, so I will try to do my best with my English. Okay. So yes, thank you. As Marta said, I'm an animated film director. 2 years ago, I finished my first professional film, Sororel, presented at CINANIMA. So quickly, I will make a summary. It is a story of 3 sisters who are facing an impending disaster. So the imminent flooding by the sea of the land where they live. And in the midst of such a chaos, the sisterly union is shaken up, and each of the sisters experiences imminence of death in their inner self in a different way. And while the sisters are waiting for the disaster, the body of 2 sisters metamorphose, and under the effect of anguish or as if the environment was becoming more and more corrosive. So their skins will be attacked, eaten away by the salt, and their limbs become stiff, and their movement become more difficult. So so already in the summary, it is clear that the different theme that I'm going to tackle in this masterclass are already apparent. So the chaos represented in my film by the sea, by the strait of flooding, the tsunami that blows up the world and the family unit of the 3 sisters, and the metamorphosis, and of course animation. In my film, metamorphosis of bodies attacked by salt and anguish. Even if in my films the metamorphosis is a discrete process. It is very real. It is the process which makes the wooden bodies of puppets become bodies of flesh. And this kind of metamorphosis isn't really a transformation, but it reveals the fragility of the characters, their mortality, and therefore under the wooden bark of puppets appear painful flesh wounds, and this pain is also a surprise because we didn't suspect it because the puppet was in wood. So what was interest me, the announcement of the flood in my film by the sea will put the three sisters completely out of the routine that usually regulates their life, and puts them towards the brutal discovery of potential death and nothingness. And this potential death also sums up all the beauty and the critical nature of their condition, and the three sisters will experience this potentiality, which will habit them and animate them. So I think I'm going to show you the trailer of the film, so you can see the environment, etc. And an extract from the film, from the moment the sisters start to discover that their bodies are beginning to metamorphose. So I will share my screen. Click. It's okay?
Il faut partir. La mer va tout submerger.
Vous croyez vraiment que la mer va venir jusqu'ici? Qu'est-ce que j'ai? Qu'est-ce qui m'arrive? Ma peau, regardez.
Is it working? Yes?
Yes.
Il se passe quelque chose d'étrange. Le sol est pelé et le linge est rêche et il sent le sel. Qu'est-ce que j'ai? Qu'est-ce qui m'arrive? Ma peau, regardez. Va vite tremper ton bras dans l'eau froide.
C'est inutile. Ça ne calme pas la douleur.
Anna, ton cou. Et toi, tu n'as rien? Je n'ai rien.
Allez, viens, relève-toi. Pourquoi ça ne part pas? Arrête de te tourmenter, ça ne sert à rien.
Que se passe-t-il?
Il faut vraiment partir. Regarde-moi.
Il faut que tu te reposes. Nous partirons demain matin.
Okay. Okay, I'm back. It's okay? Okay, so it was the trailer of my film and an extract from the film. So as you can see, we decided to treat this theme of chaos and metamorphosis in a very sober and stripped down way. Chaos in this film is also what is at stake between the sisters who suddenly are no longer able to communicate, to be agree and to be a group. So we wanted to work on the chaos inside us, and therefore the radical change is played out in each of the characters. So we work on a very sober staging where every detail is important. Bodies are metamorphosed, and the sets and the environment, yeah, the environment too. So we take an importance of every detail, and especially the way the characters are animated, because metamorphosis is movement. So we worked on a lot on the animation. The two sisters who see this event like as to see this chaos as a threat at their movement that become stiff, difficult, painful, and while the character who see this event as a change, as something different, will keep his flexibility and his energy. So we worked with animators in a French studio in Brittany called JPL Film, a wonderful studio with wonderful stop motion animators, and we work with animator on the different way of animating the different characters. So this is about my film. But before talking other personal project, I wanted to take a diversion through the point that lead me to animation and films that inspire me and which are linked to the subject of today's masterclass. So chaos, metamorphosis, and animation. So as I said, I'm a self-taught filmmaker. That means that I didn't study animation. I became interested in animation quite late, after became interested in a lot of other things. I studied social sciences, geography, sociology, and I become interested in political theory. And I think that the point that made me go from social sciences, which are disciplines that try to understand the complexity of the world through analytical grid and a system of interpretation, to animation. The point that really fascinated me about animation was precisely its capacity to capture reality through movement, and without ever stopping it, and giving it all its creative power and unlimited freedom. So for me, the world of animation is truly a world of possibility and experimentation. And animation goes against all restriction. Animation really has this capacity to subvert order, to subvert logic and all natural or social laws. And this subversion goes through an ability to set everything in motion and to abolish the border between the animate and the inanimate. So nothing in animation has a predefined and definitive form. And the real is still being modeled and remodeled again. And it is a world of ephemeral form and perpetual metamorphosis. So for me, but for everybody, I think, animation is truly an art of metamorphosis, of transformation, and its movements are oriented toward change, sometimes unpredictable mutation of bodies, of figure, of environment, and bodies, objects, and sets can stretch or condense. One thing becomes another, and for example, painted shapes become holes in a cliff. Rain can fall upwards. Rose and tree can grow in a second. So mobility in animation is a palpable force. And in animation, we encounter another phase, illimited, in which everything can happen, in which the laws of physics are suspended, and animation breaks the physical laws of everyday life with a very rebel recomposition of space, time, and materials. That I think it's very the point that make me really fascinated by animation. I think animation is very, very subversive. Animation is subversive because it is always changing, always unstable. Animation can establish rules and then breaking them or playing with them. And we all have in our minds the scene from Tex Avery cartoon, for example, where the coyote runs in the void, and as if the gravity didn't exist anymore, until suddenly the director decided to re-establish the law of gravity and causes the coyote to fall. So animation is causes a loss of every reference point, which can be very total. And because all the laws on which people build their relationship to the world can be abolished or modified at any time and for no reason. So a world where we can't trust any laws or principle, where things are changing with such violence and radicality, where movements are excessive, physical properties improbable, and cause and effect link totally illogical. Such an unpredictable world is not, I think it's not a world at all, it's just a chaos. So animation uses its technology to create chaos, or at least chaotic world in our world. So I think it's a very interesting point for me. And shortly, all this to tell you that Metamorphosis and Caos have been, for me, the center of my desire of animation. But beyond that, as I think these subjects are at the root of animated cinema. So I would like to show you a few films or film extracts to illustrate what I have just said about the very strong link that exists between Caos, Metamorphosis, and animation, which are themes that are really at the root of this art. Moreover, the first extract that I'm going to show you is an extract from Phantasmagoria by Emile Cole, which is the very first cartoon. And it's very interesting to, you can already see in this first film the very great freedom in the representation of bodies and their movement, and an unpredictable world in a constant evolution, which always traps the characters by a total absence of rule and logic, and which is an inexhaustible source of humor, of course. And the second extract is from Snow White with Betty Boop by David Fitchers, and which is a less well-known version, that Disney version of Snow White, but very, very funny. And finally, to finish on a more poetic note, a track from Street Music by Ryan Larkin. It's kind of improvisation on paper with line and color. So, je partage mon écran. Wait a minute. Okay. Ok. Oh, putain. Let's go.
Folks, I'm going down to St. James Infirmary. See my baby there, she's stretched out on a long white table. She's so sweet, so cold, so fair. Let her go, oh bless her. Wherever she may be, she will search this wide world over, but she'll never find another sweet man like me. Now when I die, bury me in my straight leg breeches, put on a box back coat and a Stetson hat. Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain so you can let all the boys know I died standing pat. Then give me 6 rap shooting pallbearers. Let a chorus girl sing me a song. Put a red hot jazz band at the top man so we can raise hallelujah as we go along. Folks, now that you have heard my story, say, boy, hand me over another shot of that blues. If anyone should ask you, tell them I got those St. James Infirmary blues.
Magic mirror in my hand now. Who's the fairest in the land?
You're the fairest in the land.
Okay. So it's not the same style of my my film, but it's linked with the subjects of the masterclass, and it's a film that really impressed me because of this complete. Voilà. So I haven't told you, but if I am interested in the scene of Metamorphosis, it is also because my first film, it was an auto production, was a loose adaptation of Franz Kafka's novel Metamorphosis, and when you read this Kafka's novel Metamorphosis, you have to ask to yourself the following question. The question, what is exactly a metamorphosis? what really changes and how represent it. And I think this question is a very important question in animation, and this question has a strong link with the question of identity. What does it mean that to say that a character is himself, is unique? What does it mean to say that a character is metamorphosing? Isn't the identity always in movement and never fixed? So isn't the identity a succession of metamorphoses? And in animation, it is the challenge of characterization of characters. To make a character who is unique with his own behavior and physics. And I think Metamorphosis is also a way to questioning the boundaries, the boundary between myself and the other, and yes, therefore the question. What make us special, what make us different, what binds us together and make us belong to a group, and what within us is always hybridizing with environment and with other. So it is also, Metamorphosis is also the question of encounter with the other, and the unknown can be perceived. I think in my film the unknown is represented by the sea, but it can be very different things, and the unknown can be perceived as a threat or as an opportunity of change, and even a radical change which can impact our own identity and our own intimacy and our own body. So that's questions that always are in my mind when I'm working on a film. And I would like to show you some other film in this thematic that I admire a lot, because they brilliantly deal with this question of encounter, of identity in movement. The first of all is an extract from Love and Theft by Andreas Ikabe. It is a film completely different in the aesthetic of my film, but very interesting because it is a film that completely deconstructs the notion of character, presenting a person in a continual metamorphosis who never settles in a definitive form, but who takes one form take many forms that remind us a multitude of cartoon characters. And then I wanted to show you an extract from McLaren's Blackbird, or Robin, I don't know the exact term in English. It is a blackbird made up of lines and dots, and constantly breaking down and reconstructing itself with the help of the different elements of his body. So a very poetic film on the question of metamorphosis. And another film really like it is from dialogue possibilities of Juan Dankmeyer, which is amazing film on the question of metamorphosis by meeting other through the language. And at least the Crocodile Street of Key's brother, with a puppet who try to transform another puppet to integrate it into their collective. So, the film. Clac, clac, clac. Ah, I have to share my screen.
Mon merle a perdu sa queue. Ah, zut! Mon merle a perdu sa queue. Dommage! Une queue, deux queues, trois queues, une, un, deux, un, trois, un, deux, 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 trois, deux, une fa, deux fa, trois fa, un coup, deux coups, trois coups, une tête, deux têtes, trois têtes, un, deux, j'ai trois yeux, un bec, deux becs, trois becs par l'eau. Comment veux-tu mon merle, comment veux-tu mon merle chanter? Comment veux-tu mon merle, comment veux-tu mon merle chanter? Mon merle a perdu son ventre. Oh! Mon merle a perdu son ventre. Un vent, deux vents, trois vents, une queue, deux queues, trois queues, une, un, deux, un, trois, un, deux, 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 trois, deux, une fin, deux fa, trois fa, un coup, deux coups, trois coups, une tête, deux têtes, trois têtes, un œil, deux yeux, trois yeux, un bec, deux becs, trois becs par l'eau. Comment veux-tu mon merle, comment veux-tu mon merle chanter? Comment veux-tu mon merle, comment veux-tu mon merle chanter?
Okay. These are the film and reflections that I wanted to share with you on this theme. And I didn't wanted to talk about just my work, but to put it together with another film. And moreover, the film I have made are far from the aesthetic of these films, but I have other projects, and I want to revive the comic dimension of the Metamorphosis in my future films. There will still be a lot to say on the theme of chaos and metamorphosis in animation, but I think maybe I will stop there. And also, I think Miyazaki's films are also very interesting to analyze the theme of metamorphosis. For example, the metamorphosis of the parents into pigs in Chihiro's travel, or Porco Rosso's metamorphosis during the war, a war hero with the head of pigs, and he never explained how the metamorphosis happen, but when it does, it is a very beautiful scene in the clouds with look like a dream more than a concrete event. I have not the film on my computer, but you can watch it. So yes, for me, I think it's okay. I don't know if there is some question about my work, or if you want to tell something about the subject of Metamorphosis animation and Caos.
Well, Louise, thank you very much. It was wonderful to see actually that this is a magic world. It's a magic form of cinema. And so far we can understand even why you study other things and you can link to the world of animation. It's perfectly understood. So thank you very much. Not only for showing your work, but also going through the history of animation and making us see some of these great films, some of these great forms of metamorphosis, and how we can be so free. We have so much freedom in our mind, but we are able also to produce in image and through the animation. So thank you very much for bringing us that today and for this masterclass. And if anybody has a question, I think we have already one or two in the chat. Yes. Okay. It's time to make your questions on the chat if you have any. I'm saying that to my students, but I have already one, and I'm just very curious sometimes on the details of some of the works. And I've noticed on this last film you've done that you use the replacement faces, especially this part. Yes. So my question is the obvious one: how many parts did you have for each character in order to make them speak? So how many parts did you have for each?
How many? Not very much, because we had a very small budget. Yes. So we only have 5 mouses. Okay. So the challenge for the animators and for me, because I animated some dialogues in my film, was to be able to make the character speak with only 5 mouses. But its characters are quite sober, so expression are not very like in a cartoon. So it was not very difficult, because there is not a huge expression.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Edgar has a question. So Edgar, if you want to make it yourself, okay.
I think there was a person before me, but
sorry?
It was me, but you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Basically, what I wanted to ask, it was related to the fact that you explained that you came from, you explored other areas before coming into the animation scene. And I wanted to ask you, in your context, in your country, how is that treated? Like, because obviously when we're projecting something or when we're creating an animation, there's always some sort of beliefs and even political aspects that come in. And sometimes that's not really well accepted in the context itself, because you're messing with stuff that, how do you say this? Stuff that isn't supposed to be messed with. And how is, in your context, how do you find people that want to work and want to even give you budget for you to work with stuff that it's not supposed to be worked on? That's sort of it.
Yes, I think in France we are lucky, because there is money for animation, and there is money for it's difficult to have the budget to make a film, but it's possible. Helps exists for this kind of film, and short animated film are really support in the French context, and it's a world apart. And short films, it's an area where you really are free to experiment things and to speak about subjects. And it's, yes, I think when you make a feature film, long film, it's more difficult because short film is really yes, maybe the last area of a very free creative way. I'm really sorry for my English when I didn't prepare, and I think it's difficult to find the good word. But yes, okay.
Okay, Louise, thank you very much. So I think Inês, you also have a question, and then João Tiago, if you don't mind, then you can make your question also. Okay, so Inês first, please.
I was just curious what just made you think like, oh, I'm going to do puppets, like why puppets? Like with all kinds of animation, why stop motion, why puppets?
Why puppets? Because I didn't know how to draw. I'm really bad in drawing. That's why I'm really fascinated by dessin animé cartoon, because I completely unable to think the movement like that. For me, puppets animation was the way, the more easy way to try something, because my first film, I made it in auto production without any budget. I wasn't in the world of animation, so it's normal. But I would like to experiment things yes, in a way, like in a live capture, because puppets movie, it's the same process of live action movies, because you have sets, you have characters, and with your camera you can move around the sets and find the right light, the right staging. So it's and you can experiment everything, because the world you are deal with is very small, so you can make everything without any budget. So, and I really like the puppet object. I don't know why it's an object that always fascinated me.
Thank
but
you.
Yes,
I
didn't draw.
curious.
So and I for me it's very difficult, the perspective notion of the body, and bodies are in 3D in the real life, and puppets too. So it's more easy for me to make a puppet. Voilà.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you. And from the class of João Tiago, I know we have a student there, so please. Hello. I think you need to put your microphone on, please. You have to unmute.
How about now?
Okay, it's working now. Yes.
Cool. Don't want to take too much of your time. It's really just about the proposal you put forth. You were explaining about how animation gives a suspension of disbelief, and how it takes away certain realisms we have in movies and cinema. And you showed a few animations that show exactly that. And I totally agree. But I do have a question. With movies nowadays being more reliant on CGI and special effects and everything, how does animation distinguish itself and just mark its place as, you know, a place of wonder, where parents can turn into pigs, and it still is very much understandable and still very much comprehensible? How can animation really set its place differently? And how can we apply that to modern movies without it being just in context? For example, how can we just, when we see Disney movies of Coco, for example, okay, the dead are alive and they all speak, but how can we make the metamorphoses and the transformations and the bit cartoony things we saw into modern animation still have our audience take it seriously?
Hi, my God, your English is so good. I didn't understand exactly what you.
I can simplify it, just that. With movies nowadays, you know, blockbusters and everything being more CGI and special effects, how can animation really distinguish itself for being just, you know, the suspension of disbelief, just, you know, the set its own place?
I don't know. I think maybe animation. When you work in animation, you have to remember that the root of animation was the freedom of metamorphosis, was the movement, and maybe to remember the subversive voilà. I'm sorry, it's too difficult to me. Yes. Ouais, voilà. Maybe Marta can answer this question. She's a teacher.
My French is also horrible, but maybe you explain that.
I'm sorry.
I can just help a little bit, but I mean, I've been also studying this this particular thing, and that is, we humans, we are animals of stories. We are actually animals who depends on our thoughts, and our thought is also in the same way of this part of we need entertainment, we need stories, and sometimes we don't really understand what is real and what is not real. And animation actually covers this world. We know when we are watching feature films, documentaries, for that we know that we are representing or try to show the real part. But when becomes the part that we have to show what we are thinking of, and sometimes, and you know, our thoughts, they can flow and flow and flow, and and who knows where they can go. That part is also a real thing inside of us, but very difficult to bring out in the world and show the other ones. But the other ones, they also have these thoughts and they have also this universe. So animation actually is probably one of the ways of actually mix this world, these two universes. It's able to make the other ones actually enter in our universe, in inner universe, and see those things. So that's the great power of the animation. Through the movements, through the metamorphosis, through wherever you want, we kind understand, even if it's a crazy thing, even if it's so abstract, we can understand what the other ones are trying to say, because we do have something inside that goes on that direction also. All right, I don't know if I also answer your question, but it's something like that.
If I may add something, Marta.
Yes.
I think nowadays, and I think this last question encompasses in somehow what being said, all the presentation. And I think the student was more or less pointing out the question in this direction of nowadays we are more and more digital, right? Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because in all cinema, not only in animation, but in all cinema, we are recalling and revisiting, let's say, the pre-cinema, the beginning of early cinema in somehow. So that's why in some extent, we talk about the turn of 20th century as the visual turn, as we all know, because why it happened, because photography and cinema emerged and made it happen, the visual turn, and all along the 20th century, and in particular the 90s that are the digital in all extent, and that's why we talk about the deconstruction of the image, the simulacra in somehow, and that's why nowadays the 21st century, the turn of 20th century, first century, is pretty much seen as the pictorial turn, because we start to let's say reuse these previous techniques, the pretty much manuel. C'est tout à fait une question d'avoir la possibilité aujourd'hui de penser le cinéma, notamment le cinéma, l'animation, aussi analogique, parce que maintenant nous sommes tout à fait dans le temps digital, et nous avons la possibilité de faire la révisitation du pré-cinéma. Et je pense que la question la dernière question, c'est tout à fait cette direction. Maintenant, nous sommes peut-être avoir la possibilité de l'image, cinématographie, comme le lieu de penser que peut-être ce n'est pas seulement la construction du cinéma, ce n'est pas seulement digital, mais aussi la possibilité d'avoir, de revisiter le cinéma, le pré-cinéma. Merci. Et je voudrais avoir un mot de dire merci bien pour avoir cette possibilité pour les élèves, parce que c'est très important pour lui, pour les élèves et pour tout le monde, bien sûr, d'avoir cette possibilité de savoir un petit peu mieux. Et le contexte, je pense que le contexte, c'est toujours très important, avoir cet apport pour comprendre un petit peu le sujet. Merci bien, Louise.
Merci.
Merci, Toumé. I think we have one last question from another student. So if you want to speak, please do, Boris. Make it short, okay? Because our time is actually stopping now. Yes, hello.
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 Well, in my personal opinion, I think the festival of different types of animation, some that look weird, odd, but that's good. I think it's interesting, this festival, because it shows how big is the variety of animation, and I like that a little bit. Personally, I'm more into Western animation. I grew with that when I was a child, and I grew watching so many Western animation. Not that mixed Asian Western animation that we see nowadays, especially in Cartoon Network. But yeah, I think cinema, it's a great experience to open our hearts. I don't like to say open our minds, but open our hearts to new experiences. Personally, one type of animation that I really like very much, it can be seen in two historical movies, Mary Poppins and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The combination of animation and live action, it's magical. It's like mixing it's like reality and imagination
come together,
are like in yin yang, like two souls, like Adam and Eve. It's like magical. It's like we live in reality, but sometimes we need imagination to be happy. And I really like that type of animation. You can see others like that, live action slash animation movies like Space Jam. The sequel is now coming next year. The Tom and Jerry movie was also coming next year. I'm a big fan of that type of movies, and I wish people could do it more.
Okay, thank you very much, Boris. Okay, thank you very much. And also Louise and everybody. I don't know, Christina, if there's any question from the Facebook.
On the Facebook, I have some people congratulating this masterclass because it's a different one. I think it's very nice to have such good interventions first on this masterclass. I'm amazed. In fact, I have to congratulate João Tiago. You can do an American character in the next movie of Louise Mercadier, okay? And I have to say wow to Tomé, tu parles très bien français, merci pour la définition en français. And I have to say, wow, it's very rich intervention in here. On the Facebook, I have to say that a lot of people are watching and they are congratulating, but we don't have questions. As a host, I'm just asking one thing because I am a sociologist, so I have a question for the first time. So may I, Louise, for you?
Yes.
This is because it's the first time, in fact, that I did some cultural project and so on. And for sure, I have 20 years of sociology. But I have to question one thing. You spoken really well about Kafka, about all the influence you had before, and you spoke about the chaos and you spoke about the metamorphosis as a process of changing identity, and that in animation you can produce really well. So my question is about the chaos. What led you to think about chaos? Because it's one of the aspects of the main aspects of this masterclass. Why chaos?
Why?
Yes, I know chaos is everywhere. Is it because it's a social phenomenon?
I don't know because I don't know exactly what is a chaos, but I know that it is the things that especially the social sciences can't catch. And when I started to be interested about the subject of chaos, I can't find anything in social sciences, so I decided to explore other places, and animation was and philosophy was one of this area that helped me to try to catch what is chaos, and what it is very important to give in our life, in our heart, and in our societies, to keep a central place for chaos and for chaotic experiences. So
Voilà. Because I was interested when I saw your presentation, the names Caos and Metamorphosis in animation. I said, wow, this is good. I saw that you had social science behind, right? And for me, it's the world. For what I'm seeing around me is that we are each more interconnecting sciences. So animation can be a science and art. Art can be also science, and we are in the 21st century. And this is the reality we are living in, that you can be in architecture, but following animation. And there is, before we were stuck into one area, just one area. And now the thing that creates some enthusiasm and a growing enthusiasm is that we are seeing more and more people from different areas that are connecting and are producing interesting ideas and making them real. So that was my question. I don't know if someone else has questions. Marta, I can ask you if you have certain questions.
Oh, it's okay from us. It's okay. No.
Yes.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so thank you very much, Louise.
Yes,
and I have to say also thank you very, very much, Christina, and also CINANIMA. Okay.
It's me who thanks.
Colleague.
Thanks you.
Okay.
I saw the effort to do this masterclass. I'm so happy to have you both, Marta, Louise Mercadier, all the students that were here and that made good participations. So happy to have you. This is the human interaction that I'm always speaking about in all the masterclasses since day one. And today in the afternoon, you are all invited to see Florence Miaille. She will give her masterclass at 3 p.m. So I hope that you are online watching if you can. And I thank you so much once again, Louise. You make our day really interesting, and CINANIMA is really happy to have you. I hope next year, like I said before, I hope next year we are here physically and we can have good conversations and we can see good cinema. I hope you can watch all the movies on CINANIMA Now on the platform and have fun in the couch, on the couch. So thank you. Have a good day to all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to my students also.
Bye-bye.
For being here.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.